And speak of the nation, or speaking on matters that are actually affecting the nation, is one that is none other than the education sector in Uganda. Now, the education sector in Uganda has since 2020 been in shambles, or in regards to the fact that we have had continuous lockdowns, which has actually affected the level of education in Uganda and also affecting the lives of the students. But at this particular one, as the government did lay on course what we do expect in regards to the reopening of schools. Now, joining me at this particular moment, we do have a former Lord Mayor aspirant and of course a politician, as well as a businessman, Mr. Yakubu Musazi, who is joining me on Zoom here on Smart Mains Business, as he's going to give me his view on regards to the situation of reopening of schools and what should the government actually lay on board as we await for the schools to be reopened safely. All right, Mr. Yakubu, do you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Smart 24 TV, and it's a pleasure hosting you again.
The pleasure is mine as well. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you once again for hosting me on Smart 24. It's a great opportunity whenever you call me to share my views to the public.
All right, now, Mr. Yakub, onto the topic that we do have something to discuss about. The government is planning to reopen schools in Uganda. What do you think should be considered before the reopening, and what are the key highlights that you would definitely address in regards to this particular issue?
Well, I am a member of Alliance for National Transformation, and my view is, as government should appreciate the fact that they can't work in isolation. They should work vis-a-vis with the public. If at all they think they're going to sit in their SCs and they start suggesting reasons or issues for the whole country, I think it's not going to work. We need to have an informed perspective when tackling issues of the nation. Right now, a lot of people have come out, stakeholders in the education sector have come out to give suggestions, but you realize that they have not been heard, or their issues have not been taken. So to me, I think government should stop working in isolation and come to appreciate the fact that they've got to work with the rest of the sector stakeholders. I suggest that we need to revisit why we entered into a lockdown, and also it hit directly the education sector. It was because we never prepared very well to start. Our young people in schools, big people in schools were incorporated in the program. The plan the ministry is going to have, it is going to work with the Ministry of Health. But you realize that the vaccines we are talking about that will come to vaccinate the rest of the students and also the teachers are not enough. So to me, before we do talk about when they are going to open and how they're going to open, we should also appreciate the fact that they need to tell us how many vaccines do we have in the country? Can they facilitate the rest of the students in the whole country? Can we also manage the e-learning that we can't manage? We have realized that we can't manage. When they issued money for purchasing radios, we realized that it also didn't work. When you say that students should learn from televisions, still that don't work, because you see that a very big number of Ugandans, they can't access this digital era of televisions where we have to pay for GoTV, Star Times, and the rest of the access units to TVs. So to me, it's a question of understanding what is the loophole, and this is got to be understood by engaging the real stakeholders. Who are the real stakeholders? The real stakeholders are the young people that go to school, are the parents of these people, and also the teachers and also owners of the schools. But for them, commissioners of Ministry of Education, working with commissioners of Ministry of Health, and they sit in their ACs to carry out research that is not on ground based, to me, it won't work.
Still with you though, in regards, you did also mention about vaccinations and to make sure that the schools are set on board. I would want to also ask this particular question to you. Do you think it was a right move to see that we now consider the P1, P2 classes and also the candidates in this particular first phase of reopening, or we still have to reopen the schools at the go?
They come to tell you that young people, those people in P1 and P2, they are carriers of the virus. Now the question is, if at all they are carriers, how are these people safe? The ones that are going to teach them, the teachers who are going to be to contact these young people, how are they safe? So the question is, the criteria is not well visited, it's not well studied very well. But to me, there is much need to open schools. And there is much need to understand the fact that the people that open that in Chikubo, that are in arcades and also markets, they are the same people that are living with these children. So it is stupidizing Ugandans when we say that schools should close and the rest of the economy should open. To me, it's just stupidizing Ugandans. Maybe they want to tell us for schools that are very special other than the rest of the country, yet we all understand that the same people that do live with these children at home, that the same people that do live in markets, that do stay in arcades and also Chikubo. So it's not wise to say that we first open P1 and P2, yet we have candidate classes, semi-candidate classes. We also have those people that are in almost completing their universities that are still closed. So to me, it's a question of understanding the dynamics. And also, we have a problem of owners of these institutions. You see that most of them are selling schools. I've received a number of them sending me their properties that they are selling away their schools, meaning that they have a burden of loans that they had acquired, which government has not even come out to say, we are planning to reschedule your loans with the banks and all that. So it's a very big problem. We shouldn't only concentrate on opening schools and these people coming back to school. In which conditions are they going to live? Yeah, when the owners of the schools are not in right position to facilitate or man these schools? These are the questions we should put on the table. We shouldn't ask ourselves when and how are they going to open, but in which conditions are the schools where these people are going? Which conditions are they? Are they still standing, or the schools are closing? The schools are selling away their properties. You saw the minister for finance coming out boldly to say, if at all they want to sell off their properties, they should sell their properties. But to me, it's not wise. It is the duty of government to come out and help these people to survive and also live with their schools. So the question is not about whether P1 or P2 should come back to school. It is a question of understanding no child of Uganda should spend a year away from school when we still have a government in this modern era.
Mr. Yakubu Musazi, okay, some of those one of the reasons that's why I do love hosting politicians in certain situations. They will definitely give you a view in regards to that. Now, for you as a politician, I would want to understand if you were given a 5 minutes chance into office in a Ministry of Education, what would be those first things that you would definitely see that the education system in Uganda is rejuvenated?
This is a question of dialogue. The problem we are having in Uganda is about dialogue. You see, Mr. Museveni and the rest of the government officials, when they see us come on TV and give our views, they think we are coming out to give ours on a political basis. But we are giving views coming from the wananchi. You understand? So when the wananchi tell us something, we shall report. So government should appreciate that they are not working in isolation. They should work with the rest of the people. When we politicians come out to say these things, we just want to guide them and correct them on how things should run, how the country should run. So when you give me those 5 minutes in the Ministry of Education, all I'll tell them is to have dialogue with the real stakeholders of the Ministry of Education, with the real stakeholders of the education sector. Who are these? These are the owners of the schools, the parents, and the students themselves. We shouldn't look at the commissioners at the ministry. We shouldn't look at the commissioners at the Ministry of Health, but the real stakeholders. These are the parents. These are the owners of the schools and also the students. Remember, way back we used to have what we used to call the PTA. The PTA used to be an association of parents and also teachers. Also, they used to have that also incorporated the students as well. So, to me, it's a question of dialogue, and we find out the problem and the solution. But you won't come out with a solution when you don't know the problem. You can only understand the problem when you investigate from the real owners of the problem. So it's a question of dialogue. Once we answer that question of
So
dialogue,
I would like you to just any last assessment in regards to the nature of the education sector in Uganda.
By look of things, I think Museveni and his colleagues is coming up with a generation of illiterates that we've been fighting for the rest of 35 years. 35 years back, we've been fighting the problem of illiteracy in Uganda. And as we are reaching somewhere, we are achieving something, we realize that they have created a generation of illiterates that have got documents at the same time. Because just 2021 and 2020, we are seeing students being elevated to or promoted to other classes, or those are candidates I'm talking about, and also the graduates. But these are half-baked students. We ourselves, we are talking from an informed perspective. We still have problems of not getting enough from school, yet we had a lot of time there. How about these people that did spend 2+ years without going to school? So to me, they are creating a generation of illiterates, but with documents, documented illiterates. So we should be very careful with the generation we're going to deal with the next 5-10 years to come.
All right, Mr. Yakub Musazi Mayanja, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today, and thank you for your assessment in regards to what is actually making rounds in the education sector in Uganda, as we do await to what we were yet to understand from what the ministry has to offer in regards of the reopening or the second phase of the reopening of the schools in Uganda. Now, for now, we head into a short break, and when I do return, I have the latest when it comes to the sports business here on Smart 24. Keep it SMB.